Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where this was clearly an awful idea, and I need to force quit Unity here, and we will relaunch it here. Okay. So, this here is obviously a bad idea. So, I think what we do is we go ahead and we unprefab this, bring this back out here as biome hexes. And I'm just checking here. Yeah, I think this is fine to leave the way it is. And then we come on in here and we get rid of this for sure. And we go ahead and set it to our location. And then we can get rid of the biome hexes prefab. And we can just leave the architecture basically the way it is, but instead of doing subhexes I, we can then do subhexmanager.subhexes.I. And this will be pretty much exactly the same, except that we still have access to all of our information. Oops, I need to put it at the very beginning, not replacing subhexes I. What am I talking about? Okay. There we go. Okay, so now it should still go through and generate all of the biomes. It won't populate them yet, but, null reference exceptions, huh? Oh, right, because we're not grabbing the subhex manager. Yep, that'll do the trick. Okay. Subhex manager equals game object dot find game object with tag subhexes dot get component subhex manager. There we go. Get that back in there. And now it should work. Now, it's not going to populate the hexes when we select yet, but we'll be able to generate some things with this, and we'll be able to know what's inside of the hexes. So the very last hex should, I think, have the subhexes up on it already. But if we come in here, you can see the hexes are not populated. But if we go down here, yeah, generating default buildings, because it doesn't know what to generate because it's not actually populating. So what we want to do is we want to move this here into a populate in the subhex manager. So for right here, we will say public void populate biomes. And let's just pass in our list of hex stored, and we'll just call this biome hexes. Okay. So then we'll need in the base hex to go ahead and instead of calling generate biomes, we will call populate biomes. And this will be done just by passing in biome hexes. The name does not exist. Shouldn't it exist? Oh, I called it subhexes. Let's go ahead and rename that right now to biome hexes, just to be a little clearer on what's happening. There we go. Okay, so we are now populating our biome hexes, and in the subhex manager, we can then just go ahead and say something along the lines of for int I equals 0, I is less than subhexes dot count I++. And then we can go ahead and set our overlay color. And that would be done by going up here, grabbing all of this. We really don't need that in the base hex, so we'll place that right here. Don't need the subhex manager here anymore. We don't actually have a reference to our colors. We can get one though. So we'll do that in a little bit here. And we will need to go ahead and say that well, there's a couple things in the biome hexes that aren't being set right now, right? So let's go ahead and set those. So right here, as soon as we are iterating through them, right here, biome hexes I dot, and first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do our world type, and that's going to be equivalent to our current hex classification. So classification. Then let's do biome hexes I dot, and this is going to be, let's see, we set our position here, so let's go ahead and set our level to be equal to hex level dot biome hex, biome hexes I dot, and let's then do our hex seed, and that will be set to our current biome seed, like so. And then biome hexes I dot, and this is going to be biome is set here. So I think we would then need our hex ID, which I'm kind of thinking if we're not doing the manager thing, we don't need a hex ID reference. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. So we have our level, we have our position, we have our world type, we have our biome, we have our hex seed. We have not done our building yet, but we will do that. So I think at this point, we just do that. And we have all the information we need. And we could pass in our colors here. Alternately, in the subhex manager, we could grab that by saying something along the lines of base hex selected hex equals, and this would be our hex manager. We don't currently have a reference to our hex manager, so there's that. How do I want to get this? So we've got our generating biomes here, and then we populate our biomes here. We set our selected world hex here. So I think the subhex manager just needs to have a reference here. So private hex manager, hex manager. That's not how you spell anything. Hex manager. And then private void awake. And then in the awake, hex manager equals, and we can probably just grab that out of base hex here. So that would be, actually I think when the manager creates it, it sets it itself. But we can just say hex manager equals game object dot find object of type hex manager, like that. Okay, so we don't actually need this then, and we can just do hex manager dot, actually, what am I doing? Right here, hex manager dot, we don't have that in our manager colors, which I'm wondering, where exactly did we get that before? From the subhex, right? I'm not sure where we got it before, actually. We can get hex manager dot selected hex dot commercial color. Wait, hex manager doesn't have a selected match or a selected hex? Selected world hex is what I called it. That's fine. Selected world hex dot commercial color. Farmland, forest, industrial, residential, and town. And we can set those up in the prefab eventually. There we go. So those are currently, I believe, not set up. That is correct. Okay, so we can delete biome hexes here. We don't need that to be a prefab. And then we can just copy in our colors here. So grab that and paste that for residential. And we can bump up the alpha. There we go. And then the same thing for commercial. There we go. And the same thing for industrial. And bump up that alpha. Same thing for forest. There we go. And for farmland. There we go. And finally, there we go, for towns. Excellent. Okay, so now world hexes know about those colors. And realistically, I feel like we don't need them elsewhere now. But for now, we'll leave it the way it is. So we still need to say something along the lines of clear biomes. Does that also call clear mesh colors? It does not. Okay, clear mesh colors. There we go. And then right here, we can go ahead and say subhexes I dot, and this will be biome equals, and this would be biome hexes I dot biome. There we go. And this should be pretty much a one-to-one thing. So realistically, setting up our biomes, we don't really need anything other than that. I think that's pretty much it. So if we were to run this, does it work? It might work. Oh my, that's quite the structure there. Oh, argument is out of range. Let's see, this is in base hex, line 180. So base hex, line 180, subhex manager dot populate biomes, biome hexes. So subhex manager, line 42. Subhexes I dot biome equals biome hexes I dot biome. Why is that out of range? Was new hex store 73? And then our subhexes here, or no, in the subhex manager, our subhexes here should be 73, correct? Let's check. 73. So then the question is, did base hex not populate all of them? I don't know. We set the biome here. Biome hexes.count. Which there's 73 of them. So which side, the question is which side is out of scope here? The index is out of range. In generic list 1, biome hexes. So biome hexes is the one that's out of range. Also, Unity, don't overwrite my taskbar. Go away. So biome hexes is the one that's out of range. I is less than subhexes dot count. So, if we go to our base hex over here, and more specifically our world hex, and we come on down here, and we take a look at our biome hexes, size 0. Okay. Is the size of this overwriting it, perhaps? Okay. Let's try running it with 73 forced into the biome hexes. Okay. That's a little better. Heavy on the little. And let's hop over to our hexes over here, and we can see that there is currently no biome set. So the question then is, did they not set biomes here? Level is set to world hex. It's just not generating biomes. So why is it not generating biomes? It's supposed to generate biomes in the awake, right here. Is it perhaps not yet classified? I bet you anything that's what it is. We need to not generate biomes in the awake, but we need to generate biomes after that, either in the start or from the hex manager after we've already run through the hexes. After we've already generated the map and generated the height. I bet you anything that's it. So let's try private void start. And we'll generate biomes in the start, rather than in the awake. We'll see if that does it late enough. I believe all of this is done in the hex manager awake, currently. Actually, this is done in start. I would rather this be done in awake. So let's go ahead and do that. Awake is called before start. So let's see how that works. Argument is out of range. Excellent. In base hex line 147. So base hex line 147, which is hex store nearest equals seeds 0. But hey, at least this one actually got set. There's that. Although I see that the position may or may not have been set properly. Well, we may not have actually gotten... Yeah, we didn't get to where the position was set. So that's fine. And of course, we didn't get to where the biome was set either. Correct. Okay. So why is it returning that our seeds don't exist? That's very odd, to be sure. Then we add our seeds here. Is it... Well, it's generating biomes, so the seeds are created here. And then the seeds are added here, and we guarantee that they're added from this while loop, but only if classification is not water or default. But if it's that, then we just return. So we guarantee that there's seeds, right? Why would this be throwing an error? On every single tile, no less. I'm sure it'll happen again, but let's give it a go. Yep, it did indeed happen again. Right here. In exactly the same place. So seeds are apparently out of range. Generic list 1 hexstore.get item. Line 147. Parameter index. So there's nothing in the seeds? Let's debug.log seeds.count. There definitely should be something in the seeds. There's no doubt about that. This is gonna take twice as long now. Yeah, there's nothing in the seeds. So how is it getting out of this while loop? Number equals... Oh, number of Voronoi seeds is 0, isn't it? Oh, yup. Look at that. I wonder what it originally was. Probably like around 5 or 6. Let's go with 6 for right now. Not 9, 6. There we go. Okay. Let's take a look here. Now it should work. I hope. It's definitely outputting a lot of debug logs. We're going to get rid of those very, very soon. We don't need them anymore. And it's not quite ready yet. Oh, now it is. So it definitely output a lot of debug logs. And object reference not set to instance of an object. Subhex's I. Did that break? Okay, real quick here. Biome hexes. Shouldn't have. Okay, first thing to fix, amongst many things, is in the base hex here, we can now no longer do the debug.log seeds.count. Because that's outputting a lot of things and really slowing us down. And then we can go ahead and clear this, and we should be back to our normal startup speed. Or thereabouts. Close to our normal startup speed. There we go. And we come on in here, object reference not set to instance of an object. Right here, subhex's I.set overlay color, hex manager.selected world hex.forest color. And I'm wondering if it's the hex manager that's not set. So the selected world hex. Let's check. I'm willing to bet that's what it is. Yes. That is indeed. Okay. So let's go into our base hex here, and we need to remember that we need to set our selected world hex before we call populate biomes. There we go. The order in which we do that is important after all. Okay. And here we are. Excellent. And it's working again. Perfect. That is absolute perfection right there. That's exactly what I want to see. Okay, so it looks like there was no change on the player side, but internally the base hex now knows the subhexes that make it up, or the data to generate the subhexes to make it up, and it's not regenerating that every time we do it. So that is perfect. The next step in this is to do the same thing again, but with buildings. But that is something for another episode. See you all next time.